Welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the main card fights for UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus, Gustafsson versus Smith. But before I get into the main card fight predictions, I'll be doing another $20 contest. The same I've been doing for the past 5 or 6 weeks, maybe a little bit longer, maybe a little bit less. But basically, you subscribe. It all starts with subscribing. So subscribe. So you subscribe, then you check the description below, follow the instructions, and you will be entered for a chance to win $20. So the subscription is free because YouTube is not like no premium subscription or nothing. It's a regular subscription, free. Just click the subscribe button, turn on post notifications, and then we don't have to turn on post notifications. I'm just saying that's extra, but whatever case, you subscribe, then you just check the description below, follow the instructions. To enter the contest is free, and to subscribe is free. It's all free, and then you'll get a chance at winning $20. But now that's been said, the instructions are out there, and they're out there for the other videos as well. Let's get to what this video is actually about. So in our first fight, we have in the featherweight division, Daniel Teymur versus Sung Bin Jo. So looking at this fight, you got Daniel Teymur, who's 0-3 in the UFC. You got Sung Bin Jo, who's undefeated and coming into the UFC. So pretty little crossroad fight right here. You got a guy who's got a chance in the UFC and hasn't been able to win. And you now got a guy who's coming to UFC, exciting and looking to try to make something of his, of his career, try to show that he can be the best or prove his skills against the best. But whatever the case is, debuting guy versus a guy who's looking like he's about to be out of the UFC. And this might be Teymur's best chance at getting a win in the UFC because he's fighting a guy who likes to bang just like him. But I'm still going to lead to Sung Bin Jo in this fight. I just feel like that 0-3 streak is going to, mess with his confidence. I think he gets a little bit hot-headed in the fights. I think they both have some grappling. I think Sung Bin Jo is a little bit better at setting up his takedowns, which is going to be more important in this fight. Who can set a takedown, secure takedowns, maybe a little bit of control. I don't think neither guy has a huge advantage in grappling. I think Sung Bin Jo has the more power in his strikes. He has that more knockout power. Daniel Teymur does have some bang in his punches and stuff. Some has some volume. He brings a lot of intensity. That's what really was the best thing about Teymur. His striking, he brings a lot of intensity. He's very technical in his striking, but it's more so about his intensity and his volume. I think Sung Bin Jo a little bit sharper, a little bit more power. And I feel like I said, Teymur gets a little bit overzealous, which can allow Sung Bin Jo to get some takedowns if he needs them. And I think the confidence is going to be heavily on Sung Bin Jo's side too. So really just the confidence and the stride and, that's going to lean towards, the momentum's heavily on Sung Bin Jo's side. So the momentum, and I think a little bit of the styles going to play towards Sung Bin Jo in this fight. I think it's going to be a competitive firefight, but I got Sung Bin Jo doing just enough when he needs to in that fight to edge a decision and get that victory. So in this fight, I got Sung Bin Jo via decision. Now to our next fight we have in the lightweight division, Teymur Hadzovic versus Christos Giagos. So you got Giagos versus Hadzovic. Both guys have their experience in UFC. I think Giagos only has one win in 5 or 6 fights inside the UFC. Hadzovic is riding his best streak yet inside the UFC. I think a win over Nick Hine and a win over Polo Reyes. I think he might be on 2 or 3 fight winning streak. So you got a fight that's pretty interesting right here. But the real interesting part as far as this fight is the grappling part of this fight. Giagos, I feel, is a better grappler than Hadzovic in this fight. When you look at his record, he's only lost to better grapplers, like significantly better grapplers, like Charles Oliveira, who's a beast, to Gilbert Burns, a beast. Chris Wade, I'm not saying Chris Wade's not necessarily a beast, but underrated, solid cardio, solid wrestling pressure, good in the scramble. So underrated beast right there in Chris Wade. And that's really, and maybe one other guy who was a grappler as well. So he's really only lost to grapplers. And I think he's in this fight, he's a better grappler than Hadzovic. But one issue I have with Giagos in this fight is that Giagos tends to fade. He's in rounds he fades. He starts the round out good and kind of slows down towards the end of the rounds. And then as the fight goes later, he starts to slow down. And with Hadzovic, he really doesn't have any noticeable slowdown in the fight. He kind of keeps that same pace throughout the fight. Or he can at least, have the cardio to not fade in fights. Whereas Giagos, I think his style kind of burns him out. And we saw in his last fight, he kind of gave up a lot of, this unnecessary stuff to Hirota, who's not really the best fighter to begin with. And gave up a lot of this stuff he shouldn't have gave up to him in that round. Gave up some positions, allowed him to land a lot of strikes he shouldn't have landed in that last round. And then with Hadzovic, a guy like it's going to be strong throughout the fight. It's when Giagos starts to slow down, he's going to be able to pick him apart. I think it'll be competitive fighting. Giagos might be winning early, but as the rounds start to go through and gets to that mid part of that second round and in the third round, I think Hadzovic notices his slowdown, start to put the pressure on him, and takes him out of there in that third round. So in this fight, I got Teymur Hadzovic via third round TKO. Now on to our next fight we have in the featherweight division, Manuwa Amirkhani versus Chris Fishgold. So you got two guys who have maybe not the same style, but they have similar advantages. Both guys have decent striking, but with their real strong suit is their grappling. Chris Fishgold likes the pressure, has a pretty decent striking, solid grappling, and solid top pressures, top control, and all that stuff. But yes, good matchup. Manuwa Amirkhani has only lost one fight in the UFC, and that was a split decision to another solid prospect in Arnold Allen. Other than that, he's been all W's, basically. Then you got Fishgold, who's 1-1 in the UFC, coming off his first win in the UFC. I think in his first fight in the UFC, he got a horrible style matchup, just a bad style matchup for him. He got knocked out in the first round. In the second fight, he got a real good style matchup for him. A guy who doesn't do well against grapplers, and all he did was take him down, control him, and I think he got the submission like the second round or something. So he got a real bad style matchup, and he got a real good style matchup. Whereas Manuwa Amirkhani has fought a lot of different styles, some bad, well, not really. He hasn't really fought like necessarily a bad style matchup for him just yet, but he has fought a lot of just different fighters that can challenge him in those areas. Whereas Fishgold decided UFC, he's only fought one guy that he couldn't really do nothing against, and he fought a guy he could do anything he wanted to. So I feel like Manuwa Amirkhani certainly has that experience inside the UFC, going against tough style matchups or just tough matchups in general, and having to grind out decisions, having to think outside the box and make mid-fight adjustments. Whereas Chris Fishgold really hasn't had to do that inside the UFC yet. Like I said, they both have similar advantages. I think what's really going to lean to Manuwa Amirkhani in this fight is his experience and being there with these tough guys and being able to find ways to victory and grit out these decisions. And that, like I said, that fight IQ and that veteran experience, that veteran octagon experience is going to help him heavily in this fight. There'll be a lot of scramble, a lot of grappling. One issue I do have with Manuwa Amirkhani is that he kind of fades. And Fishgold, one of his advantages is that he's strong throughout the fight. He can push the pace and he can keep that pace. Where I think Manuwa Amirkhani, that might be one of his issues, but I think he's able to, like with his veteran experience, he's going to be able to, adjust for that and be able to win a gritty, close decision with a lot of scramble, a lot of takedowns. It's coming down to that wire, who's going to win. It's going to be competitive, might be split, it might go either way, but I'm going to lean to Manuwa Amirkhani, with his experience. So in this fight, I got Manuwa Amirkhani via decision. Now on to our next fight we have in the light heavyweight division, Jimmy Manuwa versus Alexander Rakic. So you got Manuwa, who's looking like he's on his way out, pushing 40. You got Alexander Rakic, who's about 26, 27, young, tall, showing all the skills you need to be, a true contender. Like, he's looking solid. And also, these guys have history, so between these two, I think they they trained together for a little bit of time, and Rakic was able to get the better Manuwa in the grappling, so much that Manuwa thought he was a grappler. Or he thought he was grappling Rakic, like, now I'm not even a grappler. But, so, in this fight, two guys who have solid striking, but you might feel that Rakic has that extra advantage in the grapple. So if the fight needs to go to grappling, I feel like Rakic would have that advantage. So he's already has all the momentum, plus he has the versatility to go to a different area, whereas Jimmy Manuwa might be this position where he's going to be more so striking, maybe trying to go for the clinch and maybe attempt some takedowns, but you feel that Rakic will be the better grappler in this fight. So if somebody needs to go to a plan B, he'll have the better chance of doing that than Manuwa. In MMA, this whoever's more rounded, who has the more skills and be able to take stuff to other areas, typically will be favored. And plus, already having the momentum, having the youth, the age, the height. Manuwa's really only advantage is maybe a little bit of power and a 1-inch reach advantage. But other than that, he's got a 3-inch height disadvantage, got about a 10-year, maybe 11-year age disadvantage. And I just really think Rakic's volume is going to be too much for him. And I think he also, his versatility, his height, his range, his volume and his versatility is going to be too much. I think Manuwa was able to stick in there because Rakic's really not a knockout puncher like that. He's more so a volume guy, more technical. I think really he just mixes it up, make it a tough night for Manuwa. Probably lands a couple shots. Manuwa probably gets rocked at times, but is able to recover. And, just hold his ground. But I think it's a clear kind of landslide decision for Alexander Rakic. So in this fight, I got Alexander Rakic via decision. Now to our co-main event we have in the light heavyweight division, Volkan Oedzdemir versus Ilir Latifi. So you got to fight a powerhouse wrestler versus Volkan Oedzdemir, a Dutch kickboxer of sorts. But when I seen this fight, I don't think really the other guy's kryptonite. Ilir Latifi has solid wrestling, but he doesn't push the pace enough with that wrestling or with his striking to really tire out Volkan Oedzdemir. Really, with Volkan Oedzdemir at this point in his career, his wrestling might not be his biggest issue. It's definitely something he needs to continue to work on, but it's not his biggest issue. Really, at this point, I think his biggest issue is pacing and cardio. I don't think Latifi throws enough volume to really be that effective on tiring Oedzdemir out. Latifi doesn't wrestle enough to tire Oedzdemir out. And then you saw in his last fight, Latifi had some cardio issues of his own against Corey Anderson. He tried to land some big shots and try to, just knock out Corey Anderson. And when that didn't happen, he was just there, a sitting duck almost. Just breathing heavy, swinging like fatigued shots, and was just getting kind of teed off by Corey Anderson. So he has issues with his cardio as well. And I feel like if he doesn't really do if he's a wrestler in this fight, he's not going to be able to wrestle consistently throughout this fight or consistently gain control and maintain control. Then he's going to be kind of at a disadvantage against the Dutch kickboxer. I don't think he's going to be, like I said, I don't feel like he's going to be tired Oedzdemir out. He's not going to be pressuring him enough, not going to be in his face enough, not going to be doing enough volume, threatening enough with takedowns to really tire Oedzdemir out. It's going to really just going to fall into Oedzemir's realm. With Latifi trying to land these big, like one-off shots, maybe one or two shots at a time, really just one haymaker every now and then, and maybe one big body kick or one big leg kick here and there. And that's not going to be enough to really neutralize or push Oedzdemir back enough. Maybe if you can crack Oedzdemir, that might push him back, might rock him. But other than that, Volkan Oedzdemir, I feel, is definitely the much more credentialed striker, more technical. He definitely does more volume than Latifi when he does have cardio. And like I said, Latifi's not going to really be draining his gas tank to begin with. So I think Volkan Oedzdemir is going to be able to keep a decent pace that he can maintain over the course of rounds, because it's going to be in his realm. Land those kicks, land those strikes, use his jab. Especially Latifi, he doesn't really move his head that much, so that jab is going to be there. I think Volkan Oedzdemir is able to keep in his realm. Still going to be a gritty kind of fight. Volkan Oedzemir's technique is going to shine through in this fight, him being a better striker. And he's going to be able to land more volume and land the more telling shots in a competitive fight nonetheless. But I got Volkan Oedzdemir via decision. Now on to our main event we have in the light heavyweight division, Alexander Gustafsson versus Anthony Smith. So you got the last two guys to lose to John Jones. You got Gustafsson, who I feel in this thing, his biggest issue in this fight is going to be his mental game. Other than that, I think he's just the overall better fighter and should win 10 times out of 10 against Anthony Smith. But the real big issue in this fight is, where's his mental game at? Because for so many years, he held on to that John Jones fight, the first one, thinking he won, just to finally get that fight after so many years, and just to get dominated in every single facet of that fight, and then taken out and finished in like the third round. So he got outclassed in his rematch against John Jones. And now at this point, he really has no clear path to the title. And even if he does get to the title, what's going to be different? So he's in a weird mental state right now. So, and he's talking about maybe if he can't beat Anthony Smith, he should retire. So he's in a weird mental place. And that's really the biggest X factor in this fight, or at least for Anthony Smith, or his chance at beating Gustafsson. But that being said, with Anthony Smith, I feel like his style advantages are best when, like, out of his opponents start to, they burn himself out, and then he takes advantage of it, and he turns up the volume on them. So really, I kind of say when his opponents are kind of backpedaling or not being active enough, or maybe just standing there in front of him, then he can start to tee off on them. He's very good at finding shots when somebody just standing there. Or if somebody overcommits, like they start swinging overhand rights and falling in with their head, maybe he can hit him with an elbow or something. Or maybe they overcommit to a takedown, he can knee them. So really his best opportunity is when somebody's either too far out and not really doing nothing, or when they're too far in and overcommitting, he could counter them. So with Gustafsson, that's really not an issue of his. He's long, he knows how to use that range well, he's always moving, he's always sticking the jab in here and there. He's going to be the biggest guy Anthony Smith has ever fought, and probably the best jab he's ever had to deal with inside his MMA career. So it's going to be a lot of different issues for Anthony Smith to deal with, technically and physically, against Gustafsson. And Anthony Smith might feel he's the better grappler. He might be the better grappler, technically, maybe. I'm not even going to say give him that. No, I really feel like Gustafsson is the better overall fighter, but I might give him just that, just give him a little bit of respect in that. But I think as far as takedown and MMA grappling, I think Gustafsson's going to be the one being in control of getting those takedowns, being in control of that position. Because Gustafsson's takedowns and his control has always been underrated. And he's still one of the few guys to take down Cormier, one of the few guys to take John Jones down. And he's the only guy to take down both. So you got to give him his takedown, respect for his takedowns. So I feel like Gustafsson will be control of whether the fight goes to the ground or not. He'll be in favor of that. Unless Anthony Smith maybe rocks him and drops. But other than that, I think Gustafsson in control of whether the fight goes to the ground or not. Gustafsson has that reach. He has the jab, so he'll dictate the range. He has the better footwork. So again, he's really dictating the range. He's really dictating where every part of this fight. Only thing he really can't afford to do is get sloppy. And then Gustafsson rarely ever gets sloppy. He does have some tendencies, but very few and far in between. And I don't think Anthony Smith really going to take advantage of them. And I think the speed, the power, the range, and really just overall skill set of Gustafsson is going to allow him to just win this fight. Pick Smith apart. I think Smith probably goes back to the turtle position eventually in this fight. And just probably grinds, not like grind nothing. He's going to probably just survive the decision when he starts feeling like his chances of victory aren't really there. And just this loser decision might be kind of one of those fights where it's like the Jan Blachowicz might necessarily play out the same way, but it's a way where it's not really an impressive victory for Gustafsson, but it's a win that gets him back on the winning side. So in this fight, I got Alexander Gustafsson via decision. And that concludes my fight predictions for the main card of UFC Fight Night on ESPN Plus, Gustafsson versus Smith. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.